In 2020, India was the world's third largest emitter of carbon dioxide by volume. That's according to the United Nations. And yet, thanks to vast investment in renewables, the nation can generate just over 40% of its power from clean sources. And that's where our next guest comes in. Renew Power is a major player in India's renewable energy market. With a portfolio that includes more than 120 wind, solar and hydro energy projects across 9 Indian states, Renew says it's on track to reach net zero by 2040. The company recently joined forces with L&T, one of India's biggest engineering firms, to jointly develop, own and execute and operate green hydrogen projects in India, among many other projects. Now, ahead of the World Economic Forum in Davos next week, Renew's CEO says it's time for India to take the lead on climate action along with the United States. And Sumant Sinha is founder and CEO of Renew Power, and he joins us now. Sir, fantastic to have you on the show. I'm very excited to get your views and to understand what you're doing. Too often we talk about the United States, what China's doing, what the EU's doing. We don't often talk about the ambitions of India. So spell it out for us, please. Where is your country headed?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Look, India is actually to our efforts on shaping and dealing with the climate change issue. India is a growing country. We're already, as you rightly said, the third largest emitter of carbon dioxide. And if we just continue to grow as we have been and follow the path that every other country has followed, which is really carbon intensive, then that would not be good for global climate change efforts. So in that respect, it's actually very heartening that the Indian government has taken a very, very positive and robust view on really decarbonizing India as we grow further. The target the government has set is that by 2030, we should get to about a total capacity of 50% coming from non-fossil fuel sources, and really reducing the carbon intensity of our GDP growth by a considerable amount, close to about 40%. And so I think India is taking some very fundamental decisions to essentially decarbonize our future economic growth in a way that is really very helpful for global climate change efforts. So I think India is really taking the lead on really ramping up our renewable energy and our clean energy ambitions in a way that is going to be very helpful for dealing with climate change in the future.
It breaks down into 3 things for me. It's government policies and matching policies to the commitments that we've seen many nations around the world now pronounce. There's what the private sector can do and companies such as yourself can do to push us in this direction. And then for me too, what citizens themselves can do to perhaps help in that effort, particularly on the demand side of energy. Sumant, talk to me about that matching, because I know this is one of the things that you've said as we head towards COP28. You want to see more commitments from governments, such as the Indian government, but others as well, to match those commitments. But it also comes from the private sector, surely, too, because they have more ability, money at this moment to engage in transition and provide transition finance.
No, you're absolutely right. I think this is not a battle or a war that can be won by any one set of society or the economy working by itself. It is something that requires an all of the above kind of effort. Clearly, governments are important in shaping policies and setting ambitions, but ultimately, as you rightly said, it is the corporate sector that has to come through. We are the ones that actually have to make it happen on the ground. We're the ones that actually have to manufacture the equipment, get it shipped to the sites, put it up, make sure that we connect to the grid, manufacture the power in a way that is less carbon emitting. And then, of course, we have to raise capital. And, our colleagues on the financial side have to make sure that capital becomes available to make all of this happen, because our sector is a capital intensive sector. So I think all parts of civil society have to come together. And I think the role of individuals is also very important, as you rightly said, because ultimately, it depends on how we actually make decisions on our daily lives and so on. But equally, how we actually put pressure coming together on both governments and corporates to make sure that everybody grows in a more decarbonized manner going forward. So I think everybody has to come together in making this happen.
Yeah, I mean, you wrote a brilliant op-ed in November last year when you were talking about this idea of jump-starting sort of corporate decarbonisation. Just tie that to your business and what you do at Renew. And I know you have all sorts of projects going on, but for me, the vision seems to be a way that you can provide a steady stream of power, energy, to whoever requires it. And that comes from solar and wind. And we know there's challenges with the stability of that, be it geographical and be it timing.
Yeah, look, I think clean energy or supplying clean electricity rather to corporates really is the first step in their decarbonization journey. And I think it's the easiest step for them to take. And the further sort of benefit that corporates now have is that clean electricity generated from either wind or solar has now become cheaper than any other source of electricity for them, essentially electricity that they can buy from the grid. And so therefore, it's really very much in both their commercial interest as well as in their overall positioning themselves for the decarbonization journey standpoint to go for clean electricity. So I think that is something that most corporates are now looking at very seriously. And that's really what I was talking about, that we are now finding a lot of traction from corporates coming to us and buying power directly from us, whether Indian companies or companies from outside of India as well. But then beyond that, I think the whole evolution is happening very rapidly. Clearly, green hydrogen is a terrific opportunity to really broaden out the footprint in terms of carbon emission reductions in the broader energy sector value chain beyond just electricity. And we are seeing really shipping companies that generate almost 7 to 8% of global carbon emissions really moving rapidly in that direction, as are steel companies, as are cement companies, and as are aviation companies. So those kinds of technological solutions are now becoming available and are really rapidly evolving. And really becoming grounded on green hydrogen. All of these opportunities are really becoming quite viable. And I see the future unfolding fairly rapidly over the next 2 to 3 years. I think faster than a lot of us actually tend to anticipate. So I think corporates will really move forward and drive the decarbonization agenda, I think, faster than we've actually anticipated so far. And that's really, really positive for all of us, I think.
Wow. I love your optimism. I think it's fantastic. And obviously the Indian government, with this latest approval, a $2.3 billion deal to try and make India a sort of nascent hub for green hydrogen technology. Talk to me just briefly, if you can, about your plans there and why you're such a believer in this, because I was even at a conference in the middle of last year and the debate on this one was really high. There were plenty of people there that still aren't convinced that green hydrogen's the way to go. Why are you so convinced?
Yeah, first of all, just a word about the Indian government. Clearly, under the Prime Minister's leadership, there is a really very significant swing towards really trying to become a leader in green energy and green energy technologies globally, which is why we're actually encouraging production of a lot of equipment, whether it's solar panels or wind turbines and now electrolyzers within India, so that India actually can emerge as a manufacturing hub for these kinds of technologies and equipment, and then become a supplier of equipment globally, in addition to what we are doing domestically in terms of trying to move towards clean energy. And keep in mind that India currently imports almost $150 billion worth of fossil fuels. Right. The government has taken a view that we have to move towards energy security, and that is the direction in which really a lot of these decisions are being based on. Now, the $2.3 billion program for the National Green Hydrogen Mission is really a step in that direction to see how we can, first of all, convert the Indian economy from being fossil fuel dependent to really becoming a little bit independent of it, and also then eventually become an export destination for green hydrogen. So I think that's the general effort here. But the reason I'm excited about green hydrogen is because electricity accounts for only a quarter of the entire energy consumption. And energy, or as you know, carbon emissions come from all of energy, not just from electricity. So it's very important for all of us to find ways and means to address the balanced 3/4 of energy consumption as well, and decarbonize that part of the value chain. And green hydrogen really is the basis around which we can actually develop a number of solutions to actually get there. Separate from that, the world currently consumes almost 100 million tons of gray hydrogen, which is made through very high methane emitting a process, which is actually very negative and damaging for the environment. So even just moving that from methane-based hydrogen manufacturing to electrolysis or clean energy-based hydrogen manufacturing itself will be a very significant move forward in our climate change efforts. Before even looking at the benefits of getting into a lot of the other areas around, as I said earlier, steel, shipping, and aviation, and so on. And as I said earlier, green hydrogen really is the basis for all of that.
Absolutely. And just to be emphasise, that was the point of even just shifting what we've got in grey hydrogen today to green hydrogen in the future. You've left me very enthusiastic, and I'm being told off because I could talk to you for another hour. I have to let you go. We'll reconvene very soon, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Sumant Sinha there, the founder and CEO of Renew Power. And I believe he's going to be in Davos as well. So I'll see you there, perhaps.